Hey everybody, welcome to This Course, the only podcast formulated in a U.S. AMRID lab and leaked for your listening pleasure. My name is Ian.
And I'm Chad Smith, the drunk guy that comes up to you at the bar and can't stop talking about Afrobeat.
So I'd like to give you guys an update on how to communicate with us. Last episode, I got all excited saying we're going to have an email address, which we do now, but the original name that I wanted was taken. We are now, you can find us at thiscoursepodcast@gmail.com. So if you want to communicate with us in the most old man way possible, also probably the only way possible for a lot of listeners, that's how you do it. Now you know. All right, moving on.
Yeah, I just want to get this out of the way real quick because I know a lot of you people at home are probably wondering or it's just on your mind. This is not a political podcast. We do talk about politics, I guess, but mostly what this is, it's a relationship and cooking podcast. And specifically that relationship is you cooking for your enemies, right? When you get up in the kitchen and you look, the best reward that you can get for cooking for somebody, looking them in the eyes and just seeing them savor every bite and knowing that you made that dish with a lot of hate in your heart. Okay. So just remember that when you're listening.
That's how I make every meal for my family.
Oh my God. You got to go to therapy, bro.
It's okay. You don't need therapy when you don't actually have a family. Now I just made it up.
Oh God. I didn't know that about you. That shit just got dark. Oh, fuck.
Anyhoozle. We are recording today's episode on June 2nd, 2021. Every week, we look at a different source of news, and we dissect what they have to say about the news, and we discuss how we feel about the source of the news. This week, we're talking about the Wall Street Journal. Why is that?
Yeah, so the Wall Street Journal went and done some bullshit. We'll just say that. They went and done some bullshit. So at the beginning of this whole thing, this thing we've been going through, and I don't want to fucking
COVID.
kind of get this cliche, get to this cliche shit. Like in these unprecedented times now,
In these uncertain times,
more than ever, these uncertain times, what you need to do is to keep buying Skippy peanut butter.
and spending time with your family while eating Skippy peanut butter.
Putting it on your Rolex watch and driving out to Martha's Vineyard in your Cadillac XL. I don't know if that's a trim on the Cadillac.
I don't know. So,
oh yeah. So what I'm trying to say here is it's towards the beginning of this whole shit that some of us probably have PTSD from. Not me, bro. I'm built fucking different. But yeah, at the beginning of all this, you had people like Donald Trump, like making this whole thing into like the Wuhan flu, the China flu, whatever the fuck.
China virus.
Yeah, the China virus, and a lot of people sort of kind of it got to this point where they were like theorizing. A lot of conspiracy guys were like trying to say that it came from a Chinese lab. Okay, and then the whole China question became a whole thing. Like a campaign issue, like where Donald Trump is like, oh, it's Sleepy Joe, China Joe. He loves China. It's China Joe. Fucking just throwing this dumb shit at him. And the liberal answer to that is like, we can't, which I think is completely reasonable. We can't go off onto the rails and just like to start coming up with random shit. We have to believe in science. We have to like check the scientific data and for a lot of people at the time, the lab leak theory was not it was not to be entertained, right? Because it's junk, it's nonsense, and
Well, why is it junk?
Well, and I'll tell you, I mean, I think around mid 2020 there was an article that came out in Nature, the medicine wing of Nature, which is the flagship biology journal in the United States.
Oh yeah, I read Nature every night.
He doesn't. He's lying. He
never
does
lied.
natural functions every night, and by that I mean he pisses and sleeps every night.
I do be farting.
He did that like 20 minutes ago when he got here. So
Don't tell them that.
well, I'm airing your dirty ass laundry. Your
laundry.
sharded pants on air for the world to hear.
Anyway.
Yeah, he's mad. Okay, so the whole thing about this article is called The Proximal Origin of SARS-CoV-2. Of course, SARS-CoV-2 being the virus that causes COVID, the disease with the glassy lungs and the bad breathing and the coughing and the pudding pops
and the coughing and the pudding pops.
And all that shit.
Okay.
So,
okay. I knew that's where you were going.
R.I.P. Cosby. Young, died before his time. So this article is really interesting because at a time, and I'm sure we'll look back at this historically, and this article may not even get brought up, just judging by the way that the Wall Street Journal and a lot of journalists responding to their stuff are spinning this, is that the article is basically supposing that there are basically three explanations for the origin of this horrible virus that has by now killed almost 600,000 people in the United States, many more on top of that worldwide. So the first possibility that it was exploring is that it could be just a random mutation that sort of arises, from a single source, either it be in humans or from just like one animal source, which, at the beginning of all this, people were talking about bats or whatever. This is the South Park people were trying to make you believe that, they're writing, making fun of the bats and whatever the fuck.
So just for the sake of shits and giggles, I looked up the current total death toll of COVID around the world. It is currently set to 3.68 million. That's half a Holocaust right there, bud.
Yeah, definitely not depressing at all. Thanks for those numbers, my friend.
Hey, context.
Yeah, we got to get a fact checker up in here, honestly. We got to get a Jamie.
We do.
I think this is not the first time I'm talking about that. Maybe.
Grant wants to be our Jamie, by the way.
That would be so sick.
It would be fun.
Hey, Grant, pull that up.
Yeah.
Is that a picture of a chimpanzee doing ketamine, DMT at the same time? Oh my God, did he just do a spin kick? Oh no, I'm high on DMT. That's not a GIF or a video. That's a .bitmap file.
That's just my dog, dude.
That's just my dog. Oh shit. I don't even have a dog. Where am I? Who am I? Honestly.
Right. Where were we?
So the first, like I was saying, the first possibility raised by the proximal origin of SARS-CoV-2, the sequel, was that it's a single source sort of mutation. It arose spontaneously within human populations or within a single zoonotic source. For those of you who don't know, zoonotic means the virus came from the animals, which a lot of viruses do. And especially if we look at previous viruses that are, related to SARS-CoV-2.
That's where AIDS came from.
I beg to differ, but
AIDS definitely wasn't formulated in a U.S. lab. It was made by a gay monkey.
I think that's a topic for a future episode, because I got something to say about that. I'll tell you what.
AIDS was invented by a gay monkey.
Well, if that's what you choose to believe, you might be. What the fuck is this guy's name? Fuck. Who?
It's okay. I'll edit this out.
Oh yeah. Okay, Nicholas Wade. Yeah, if you believe that, you might be Nicholas Wade.
That was a smooth transition to your punchline, buddy.
Thank you so much. I do it for the fans. I do it for you too. No, please don't. I don't know what you're talking about. So yeah. So the track record that these kinds of viruses, these closely related viruses have, like MERS or SARS, they come from animals for sure. Now that the spontaneous origin maybe is less possible. The article talks about this, so I would definitely recommend for readers and listeners. For readers, what are you getting a transcript of this? You might, I don't know, but if you are and you are a reader, or if you aren't and you're a listener, do go look this up. It's like I said in Nature Medicine. They go on to propose a second theory as to where the origin is coming from, and that's the lab escape. And they pull in a lot of previous information, as scientific articles are wont to do, especially the very professional ones, the legit ones, that point to other research, which you can go and read for yourself. And essentially, they're saying this is a possibility, but the chances are very slim.
Compared to,
that brings me to the third option, which is it is a multiple, like, horizontal transfer from one animal source to another, to another, to another, and it's going back and forth between these these biological reservoirs. Which, if we look at MERS and we look at SARS, that's exactly how scientists figured out later how that happened. Of course, those weren't massive pandemic-causing
This just sounds
viruses.
This just sounds like the first option with more steps.
Right, but it is the most common path that things like bird flu take.
Okay.
There are biological reservoirs when ecological populations of different species are in sort of an ecological overlap, and they share multiple zoonotic transfers. And as the virus transfers between populations, it picks up bits and pieces by being adapted to those various populations and their particular physiology, and it sort of picks up new traits, new structural elements, and new things that help it reproduce better. And it goes back and forth until finally...
You think once it hit the South, it developed a taste for siblings?
Disgusting.
Sorry. Go
Yeah,
on.
that was a cheap shot at the South. Boy, I've been here. I live here, and I was raised here. I was born here. I never fucked my cousin. I don't even have a sister. I don't even have a brother.
That is no argument. Just because you never had the opportunity doesn't mean you're a saint for passing it up.
Well, I am a saint, but that's for unrelated reasons. Was canonized in 1996. You can look it up. Chad Smith, canonized by the Roman Catholic Church.
True facts.
Really happened. And if we had Grant here, he would say, yeah, that's true. So that article is really nice because it sort of it brings in some actual scientific research to essentially discredit the lab leak theory, which at the time it came out, which I think it was like April or May, maybe June, sometime in there. I think it was probably June. It's probably a year ago. It was probably like exactly a year ago that it came out. It basically discredited it. And that was all we really needed. Of course, now that the dust is cleared, the smoke is settled, and we hate China, it's now time to revive this lab leak theory, even not only from mainstream media sources like the Wall Street Journal, but also from left-wing alt media. Okay.
Like what?
Let's get into it, man. Famous people who are on the left, which I use that very vaguely because I certainly don't fucking agree with them. But people like Matt Taibbi, whatever.
Matt
Taibbi, whatever the fuck his name
I
is.
have no idea who you're talking about.
Glenn Greenwald, of Intercept fame. Jimmy Dore of the Jimmy Dore Show. These alt media, left-wing alt media guys are fucking jumping onto this shit, right? Specifically talking about it's China's fault. Right. So let's just sort of get into the source of this. Where did this idea get revived after we spent so long saying, you got to trust science, you got to trust science? So the interesting part of this is that in my mind, or at least sort of how I've been following this, and you can certainly write into our new email and tell me how I'm stupid and how I'm wrong and how I need to take a shower.
Please do. We love negative feedback as much as positive
Please neg me.
feedback.
I will fuck you, and it's going to be fun. So
Negging works if you're negging Chad.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that later. Actually, I'll talk about that to my therapist later. So in the Wall Street Journal, which if you don't know about the Wall Street Journal, it's very conservative. They try to play this game where they don't support certain, they don't endorse candidates, which to them and to most people who are related to, or like who believe in electoral politics, that's sort of what they do. Is they're like, well, as long as I don't, endorse a candidate, I'm doing anything wrong. But the Wall Street Journal, and in fucking huge asterisks, bold, underlined, in italics, subscript, superscript, fucking Times New Roman, whatever, wingdings, Rabi
Get to
font,
it.
and 14-point font, they say, in their own words, they say, we speak for free markets and free people. The principles, if you will, marked in the watershed year of 1776 by Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence and Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations.
Fucking gag me with a spoon.
Guarantee that... Well, we can arrange that if you want. Guarantee they don't really take Adam Smith very seriously. I'm just going to skip some of this tagline here. If these principles sound unexceptionable in theory, applying them to current issues is often unfashionable and controversial. I'm sorry, where the fuck do you people get off saying that that it's unfashionable? You're literally, the whole world is run by capitalists, either Western European or American capitalists, or people operating in their same vein. So no, it's not fucking unfashionable. That would be like saying, like, as a frat guy, like, I'm so tired of being persecuted for wearing Sperry's. Like, yeah, that may be true for the rest of the world, but in your little ecosystem where you run everything, you're the fucking top of the pops. Sperry's the fucking order of the day, and nobody can get around it. So wear your Sperry's with pride, folks, which is the takeaway from that quote from the Wall Street Journal. So, and honestly, I just want to point out sort of their whole thing with the Russiagate thing, just to give you an idea of what role they kind of get into with calling other countries enemies of the United States, like, fucking shady or whatever the fuck. Like, you might call someone who intentionally leaked a biological weapon that they created. So I just go ahead and read this. On October 25th, 2017, the editorial board called for special counsel Robert Mueller to resign from the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 United States election. So basically, they were saying, Robert Mueller is needs to get the fuck out of here. He needs to recuse himself, et cetera, et cetera. And this caused a fucking whirlwind in the Wall Street Journal. Okay, and people were saying that these editorials were just, I mean, it was like people had to choose sides, right? So that's sort of how they deal with propaganda when it comes to United States enemies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so let's just check out there. And by the way, if anybody's wondering, yes, I am reading directly from the Wikipedia page. I think you should go read it for yourself and definitely click through the sources and figure this shit out for yourself. But I think this is a good overview. And they've been accused of climate change denial. They've been accused of basically denying the existence of, acid rain caused by like NOx emissions from like factories and everything. They've also been accused of denying the idea of like ozone depletion, which of course is halogenated hydrocarbons that get released from industrial sources and also from plastic production and aerosols. And basically their sort of relationship with science and relationship with propaganda are they're anti-science and they're pro-U.S. propaganda, at least internationally speaking. So it's no surprise that we now come to some of these select quotes from headline reading, "Intelligence on sick staff at Wuhan lab fuels debate on COVID-19 origin," by Michael R. Gordon. And
that is like such a non-stance having headline. It's just like the discussion prompted debate and raised doubts.
I'm so glad
it's
that
so
you're saying that.
vague and could be applied to any position.
Right. And this was written, and I want to highlight this, written by Michael R. Gordon. So that name will become important in a second. So one of the first sort of things that had some legitimacy was an article that came out in Technology Review, and it was basically this anti-scientific screed using a bunch of anyway, I'm just going to read the quote. So, computer modeling generated a startling result. The spike proteins studying SARS-CoV-2 bound more tightly than their human cell receptor, a protein called ACE2, and of course, which, just my aside here, angiotensin converting enzyme 2, the target receptors on any other species evaluated.
Nerd.
In other words, SARS-CoV-2 was surprisingly well adapted to its human prey, which is unusual for a newly emerging pathogen. The fuck? I'm sorry. Yeah, the discussion there in the discussion there was a debate. A human suited pathogen was surprisingly good at attacking human tissue.
We wouldn't be studying it if it wasn't particularly good at attacking human tissue.
Exactly. And this is this is how they fucking do this shit is they literally just turn it into nonsense so that you don't fucking think about it. You're like, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's surprise. That makes sense. Yeah, it's surprising. So,
all right, just as a layman, which is my job here anyway, the whole lab leak theory of them like creating this biological weapon and intentionally leaking it seems stupid as fuck, because if it was China who designed it, why would they release it in their own population intentionally?
yeah. Well, it's because they're godless commies, and communists don't care about their own people. They're just guinea pigs. Did you know that?
I've literally heard that argument. I've heard that argument more than I am comfortable admitting.
Yeah, dude. It's fucking
on this topic, because I've raised that same question to other people, and they're like, they don't give a shit about their own people. Like, you think? Really? That's like all they have as a country is their own people. Like, which I say that America doesn't give a shit about its own people, so like, But still, it just seems like a bad tactic from a war perspective, like to release your greatest weapon starting with your own citizens.
Right. So let's sort of read a few selections from this article in the Wall Street Journal. So we'll just start at the beginning. 3 researchers from China's Wuhan Institute of Virology became sick enough in November 2019 that they sought hospital care, according to previously undisclosed U.S. intelligence reports that could add weight for growing calls for a fuller probe. Of course, Biden is leading this and saying that China has to answer for it, which is something that, by the way, Donald Trump said as well, whether the COVID-19 virus may have escaped from a laboratory. The details of the reporting go beyond a State Department fact sheet, which State Department and fact sheet, in my mind, those are two things that don't go together. A State Department fact sheet, no facts, probably not even a sheet.
It's oxymoronic.
You can't sleep on it, so don't call it a sheet.
Shut up.
So it was issued during the final days of the Trump administration, of course, which said that the several researchers at the lab, which this was a thing that people were like upset about. They were like, oh my God, why is he doing this right before he's getting out of office, right? Yeah. It doesn't fucking make any sense. But of course now it's being pursued by even the left wingers are pursuing it, which is insane. So, yeah, which said several researchers at a Center for Study of Coronaviruses and Other Pathogens became sick in autumn 2019, which we know that the SARS-CoV-2 virus has been detected before that, both in Italy and France, and even earlier in Spain. And not only that, but also why, if then that's the case, why is nobody talking about how at USAMRID in the May, I think it was in May of 2019, that people were getting sick after a BSL-4 biological safety level 4 containment breach.
I did not know that.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. There's a counter conspiracy theory to this that got a lot of traction at the same time, that it was a U.S. released laboratory released virus, which I'm not going to dip into that. That, to me, knowing what I know about myself and y'all at home knowing that I get paid to win friends and influence opinions as a ideologue and the Central Secretary of the Communist Party of the United States of America, is a very attractive position to me.
If I was, regardless of who started it, like if it is like a biological weapon, like, I think the play would be to, like, take it to another country that is, like, your political enemy.
Yeah,
drop
the
it
U.S. Military games in China.
Right. And then, like, drop it in a town where they have, like, a lab where they make this kind of shit.
Wuhan.
Right, exactly. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. That makes more sense than them releasing it on their own people.
Yeah, exactly. But again, just backtracking to what we just talked about, the proximal origin of the whole thing.
Probably not man-made.
It's probably not fucking man-made. And, if it comes out, dude, that it is, I will literally go try my hardest to get sunburnt. I will get sunburnt. I will let the skin peel off. I will toss it in great value Italian dressing and eat it.
Wait, that's a punishment.
I'm making a promise. A punishment. Oh, you like that?
You don't do that for fun?
No, I'll make you eat it then. No, we want this to be a punishment. I'm going on record on this podcast and saying if it turns out that it was, and I'm not talking from U.S. sources, if it's international consensus
that it's man-made,
that
regardless
it's man-made,
of who made it,
and it was made in China, fuck it. If it was made in the U.S. too, I'll cover that too.
I'm just saying if it was man-made at all,
I will eat my sunburnt skin tossed in dried sunburnt skin tossed in Italian dressing. Promise. Bet. I promise.
That sounds like a damn near a country song. Eat my sunburned dried hand skin. Oh, I fucked it up.
Dried hand skin. Dried hand skin.
And tossed it in Italian.
We're kind of running out of time here. I just want to hit a few more points before I get out of here. But
you got time for like 2.
Yeah. Well, don't I always. So let's. This Michael R. Gordon guy, who is presenting is one of my favorite phrases I've encountered recently. Evidence-free. Like antibiotic, hormone-free, evidence-free bullshit. This same Michael R. Gordon and Judith Miller, who, by the way, Judith Miller, sorry, I didn't mention her. She was a co-author on this byline. Reported on September 8th, 2002. More than a decade after Saddam Hussein agreed to give up weapons of mass destruction, Iraq has stepped up its quest for nuclear weapons and has embarked on a worldwide hunt for materials to make an atomic bomb, Bush administration officials said today. And of course, after that, Condoleezza Rice said to CNN, the problem here is that there will always be some uncertainty about how quickly he can acquire nuclear weapons, but we don't want the smoking gun to be a mushroom cloud. So let's just go back for the last point to sort of cap this all together and look up with what exactly this guy's trying to pass off.
Is this quote going to align perfectly with a quote in the other article? Because if so, I'm going to fucking jizz all over you.
Yeah. On May 7th, Michael Tracy published something that was responding to Mr. Gordon's Wall Street Journal article here. And he said, over and over again, early last year, as the COVID pandemic was ramping up, but hadn't reached the U.S. in earnest, journalists at prominent national publications seem to have had conclusive knowledge about the origins of the virus. It was trafficking in a conspiracy theory that had been roundly debunked, then collectively declared to suggest that the virus had originated in a laboratory that specializes in experimenting on human infectious diseases in Wuhan, China. These declarations look dopier than ever after a new article published this week by the journalist Nicholas Wade, who for many years was a science correspondent for the New York Times. By the way, aside here, he writes for a fucking doomsday journal. It's nothing scientific, but it's called the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. What COVID has to do with nuclear doomsday, I have the faintest idea, but that's fine. So for who many years was a New York Times science correspondent? At the very best, Wade demonstrates that the lab leak theory ought not to be discounted, but also goes much further, showing that the theory is in fact highly plausible. So the idea here is that the mainstream media and its various commentators of varying degrees of alternative bents are saying that these two theories have equal weight, which of course the original spinner of this yarn, Mr. Gordon, was instrumental in the Iraq War. So if this doesn't point to readers and listeners of this mind to sort of look at this and be like, what's happening here? We're using this crisis to gear up for a fucking invasion on China. Maybe not an invasion, but at the very least, war drum beating.
I see the parallel between the original article that you quoted and like this most recent
Written
one.
by two of the same people.
Right. I gotta say though, it was a little anticlimactic. I was hoping there to be like a line for line like comparison where it was like, and then we don't want the smoking gun to be a bunch of dead people from a virus or some shit.
I'll leave that as an exercise to the reader and the listener.
I was just really hoping it would line up that closely.
It will. Go read the Wall Street Journal article.
So
you'll see.
I think that's all the time we have to talk about the news.
Yep.
If we want to move on to the next segment in a timely manner. So this week's topic is Africa, Nigeria.
Right. So I'm just going to go ahead and start this by reading off to you some lyrics from one of my favorite songs from one of my favorite genres. This is the song Africa Will Be Great Again by Femi Kuti, who is, of course, related to the late, great Fela Kuti.
The late, great Fela Kuti.
Yeah, and he deserves those two greats.
He sure does.
Prolific man, wonderful artist, and the person who is single-handedly responsible with, in my mind, the best genre of music ever created. This song, of course,
wait, he made dubstep?
Don't talk shit about dubstep. In the Little Italy studio, there are two things that we uphold, okay? That is Beppe Loda.
Yeah.
And the immortal science of dubstep.
Beppe Loda loves dubstep.
Beppe Loda created the dubstep. He was the original dubstep artist.
Moving on.
He was not Italo disco. That was dubstep, baby. So the lyrics start out, can you believe there was a time in Nigeria the exchange was $2 to 1 naira? That's right, $2 to 1 unit of Nigerian currency, the naira.
We looked this up. That's not just a line in a song. Like, that was real.
Yeah, and it persisted for like almost a decade.
Wow. I thought it was only there for like a year or two.
Fuck no. It persisted for a long time.
Cool.
And so the next line, of course, goes on to say, can you believe cost of living was cheap, education at all levels was also free? Can you believe that one time naira, not plenty money, 1,000 go make you feel like king? Can you believe 250 naira go fly you out the country? Can you believe Nigerians were profiting off the oil, many jubilating on the dance floor? Can you believe our father Fela cited corruption and warned of economic destruction? Can you believe, say with all of our money, too many Nigerians were suffering and poor? Can you believe, instead of make our leaders listen to them, beat them and lock them for a prison? Can you believe, come use austerity and inflation to cover corruption and stealing? Can you believe? So the real question here is, what the fuck happened in Nigeria that they took their it took their currency from $2 to one of theirs to today, which is same currency, because they have had multiple times when they've issued different, like, I guess you could call it like redenomination maybe, or it's sort of when it's like central bank or like some kind of reserve, basically it's like a monetary policy. And I'm not a finance guy, like I understand some of it, but it's mostly cursory, okay? But so what I understand is that to sort of combat inflation, or it doesn't really do that, but what they do is they basically say, okay, so 100 of our old currency is now one of this.
Okay.
And it's not a monetary policy that I think does much to the value of the currency, because I think that currency exchanges are set by bank-to-bank transfers, and it's set by what economic institutions are willing to pay out.
I mean, it sounds like they just made a new denomination. It'd be like if America today was like, hey, so like money sucks. Now here's $1,000 bill.
Right, but that, I mean,
It's the new 100.
to me, that has an effect on the psychology of how you spend money. Because contrary to popular belief, and if you believe this, you are incredibly dull, and you need to kind of rethink what you're doing. But people are not rational actors in an economy.
I don't believe you.
They don't. You don't believe me?
No.
Well, you should be skeptical. You should. And if you're confused about this, literally, I mean, just think about the stock market right now. People are fucking buying
AMC right now.
AMC and GameStop and fucking uranium stocks.
Ethereum.
They're buying shit, literally a currency that has no intrinsic value because people just print more of it. There's no
Ethereum is interesting.
Jesus. We're not about to turn into a crypto podcast.
You're right,
Jesus.
because I don't know enough about it to talk about it, but I do know that Ethereum is
Nobody
unique.
does, but everybody thinks they do.
Well, no, Ethereum is unique in that it's like a meta currency that like its price is a function of how certain other factors are happening.
Yeah, you can use the currency literally as fuel to develop your fucking apps that you make on. I don't give a shit. It's fucking so stupid. I do have money in it, though.
I know you do.
Have money
I'm
in
probably wrong about how Ethereum works, but I know that it's like not just a straight. It's not Bitcoin. It's something different.
By the way, I just want to say Nigeria loves cryptocurrency, so this is timely. This is fitting.
All right.
There's so many fucking like new cryptocurrency things that are like, oh my god, like we have like Nigerian government support, or like all these business guys in Nigeria like love us, and like, so I guess it's fitting, but it's stupid. Crypto's. I want it to fail. I'm just gonna go on record. I want it to fucking crash. Fuck that shit. So stupid. But anyway, so yeah, you're right about that. It's exactly what you think a redenomination is.
Okay.
It's literally taking the value of one thing and making another, but it has impacts in your economy, okay, which is why they do it, and which is why people respond to it. So, I mean, you know, it would be like being like, you're like, all of a sudden the price of everything shoots up to $100, right, for like a $1 thing. So, or like, let's just say $3. I think that's a better unit to base it off of, right? So, you're like, you go to a bar, you get a beer. Okay, you go get a McDouble. Okay, now all of a sudden you're paying $100 for it, and you're like, "What the fuck? I only get paid $500." Okay, so for a short time with the redenomination, you have more buying power until everything catches up, and then the redenomination doesn't mean anything, and the inflation cycle continues. So this happened in 2008, the redenomination. But what is interesting is that before that, and this is in 2020, after the redenomination, 361 naira per US dollar. But in 1972, when the naira was transferred from the Nigerian pound, which of course is a vestige of the old colonial holding of Nigeria. Nigeria was an old colonial holding of the British Empire. Maybe it wasn't the empire at the time.
It's always been an empire.
It's still an empire.
By the way, what year did the Nigerian currency start dipping?
Buy the dip. It's me, the Wall Street bets guy. This is my alter ego. It's what if Chad was a finance guy? Buy the dip, everybody. Diamond hands. Hey, everybody, GMC. But I'm a beep, you know. buy the dip, That's what finance people sound like to me. That's literally what they sound like to me. Yeah, did I make lots of money off of people being stupid? Yes. Are they stupid? Yes.
Wait,
Am
how
I
much-
stupid? Also,
How much money did you make off of
I'm not
cryptocurrency?
revealing that. I'm not revealing
You
that.
should give me some of that. That'd be nice.
It's well, let me tell you, it's a fraction of what the U.S. government is paying me to spout these lies over the internet.
So what you're saying is you're just loaded right now and you're not sharing.
Yeah, I take some loads every now and then.
Gross.
It's actually extremely hot, and you don't know what you're talking about. So
No,
anyway,
it's hot and gross. It can be both things.
That's true. That's a uncontroversial. It's like a sorry, not sorry statement. Sex is disgusting. That's what makes it hot.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hate that you agree with that.
It does and is.
I never wanted to hear that. From
It
you.
is and is. I'm sorry. It's
So-
gross and hot. That's why I like
that's
it.
right. So the year that the Naira became sort of no longer worth anything, and that maybe that's being dramatic because it is still
less.
worth less. Yeah.
Worthless.
What, you said it, not me. You fucking racist scum, imperialist
God.
bastard.
Jesus.
Sorry, it's your words, not mine. So in 1985, we're looking at 0.84 Naira per US dollar. And then in 1986, it was $2.02. Sorry, $2.02 Naira per US dollar. So it flipped. You know, it was almost $2 per Naira in the beginning. So that's more than 10 years. It's more than a decade. And that sort of time frame was enough to create a burgeoning, I don't want to call it a middle class because I don't want to obfuscate what exactly class divisions mean. But we'll put it this way. When Fema Kuti is talking about people getting rich off the oil money and then being able to go and dance, that is a direct reference to sort of an aspect of history that exists only as a historiographical concept with the advent of capitalism. People have always done things for recreation, but it wasn't until capitalism affords a mass culture of recreation that we start to document it. Think about this. Most historical treatments or historical sources about culinary matters come entirely from the annals and writings of the wealthy. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's only through anthropological discovery, be it archaeological for the antiquities or comparative sort of anthropology, which of course carries with it its own problems. But
I mean, historically, that's most art because like those are the people who have the spare cash and the free time available to enjoy it and share it and talk about it.
And that's exactly what happens is that recreation as a notable thing is pretty much only for is only for the rich people until the advent of capitalism. And in that way, capitalism and in this case had afforded people a larger a mass culture of recreation, which of course makes it ripe for imperialists to come in and say, I don't like that you're winning. I don't like that you're having a good time and that you're dancing, and I don't like that your poor people are buying records. So how about all of your companies that are making everybody money hand over fist and everybody's benefiting from it nationally? How about you let us benefit from it nationally, and well, you'll just figure it out. So have a good time.
So what does that look like?
That looks like 1985 to 1986 in Nigeria. So,
but what does that mean? Like, how did they come in and say that they're going to benefit from it instead?
I'm so glad you asked. So there was this guy, Ibrahim Babangida, and I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. That's fine. You'll just have to deal with it. So this guy was sort of the darling prince of the United States and Europe. So before there was the African sort of Congress or the like African Union, which was that's a topic for another day. So yeah, this guy Babangida, he came to power through, of course, a coup d'état. Of course, wouldn't you know it? 27th of August, 1985.
Wild. Fucking bonkers.
I know. The timeline on this shit it's so clear what happened. And
please explain it.
Within fucking literally within a few months, this motherfucker had this idea to basically come up with a program to rob the country's endowments, investments in itself into privatization, to austerity.
Who sponsored the coup?
That's a good question.
Do you have the answer?
In my research, I actually could not find a smoking gun that connected any one person
or nation.
Yeah, it's. I personally would not be surprised given the West's track record, specifically Britain and the United States.
I was about to say, well, it might have been either Britain or the United States. Britain, because they were the original, I hate to say it in these words, but they were like the original owner of that nation before they were the colonizers that colonized them. And, the United States is on the chopping block as well, just because, their track record's horrible in that area. They've installed so many coups all over the world. Anyway.
Right. So there was a lot of war. And I'm sure that...
Just in general?
In Nigeria.
Okay.
That I had a hard time trying to figure out, just besides off the cuff for me, which I have my toolbox of methods, of course, the one of which being anytime the United States or the Europeans, most of the Europeans, I should say, and Britain, so I'll say the Anglophone world and Europe, anytime they say they're trying to do one thing, they're probably doing the opposite. And usually they say things like trying to liberate, trying to democratize, trying to invest in.
What they're really doing is trying to install people who will play ball with their corporations and their lobbyists and their handlers.
Right, exactly. So there was already, before this coup, a background starting in 1980 of essentially having some economic troubles and trying to solve those troubles by bringing in the International Monetary Fund, which put them in enormous amounts of debt. Economic troubles which led to debt, which stemmed from, of course, the looting of the natural resources in Nigeria and creating an infrastructure which is meant to run with the people at the top, the people that are experienced with running the whole thing, being the colonial masters. And then liberation happens, they leave. So what happens?
In Nigeria, you're saying that after this guy took power, he restructured things in order to make money, and I'm using air quotes here, but for the country. But what he was really doing was just selling the country's natural resources and then exporting them.
Yep. So the oil money no longer was for the benefit
of the
people.
citizens. Okay, so that's basically like the same story of how like every quote unquote third world country remains poor forever that was previously colonized, because like the colonizers, by the way, we're reversing roles here, which is fun, but the colonizers like set up an infrastructure that benefits them and the extraction of resources, and then once all of the resources are extracted, they just bounce. So like the people that are left, like the only infrastructure they have is set up for resource extraction, not for like maintaining a healthy community or anything like that.
Right. And when they try to do something with that model, which this is the story of a lot of liberation struggles, especially in Africa. This is the story. They say, well, we don't have the expertise, this generational knowledge, the infrastructure, the investment, and the capital to do these things, but we have people. We have people who are hungry, and I don't mean literally, although literally they probably many people were, but
you mean ambitious.
Yeah, they're hungry to know, to do things, because they see, I mean, it's like a fucking horizon. It's like a promise of progress. You are now free to decide your economic future, and someone was interested in your goods, and now you have the right to determine collectively what happens to those things and at what prices they'll go for and what to do with the proceeds, so that either everybody benefits, certain people benefit, who benefits. You get to decide those things. And you cannot deny the ideological imposition, the hegemony, and the sort of just the domination over every aspect of your life and the way you think, creating a system which uplifts mostly capitalist people. And I just want to sort of point to an article that kind of gets into this if you want to read more about how the gap left by the colonial deposition, or I guess, overthrow of the colonial government, and how imperialism filled that spot. You can look this article up, Nigeria, Modern Economic Imperialism, 1980 to present. This was, if anybody's from Nigeria or has Nigerian friends, I'm so sorry for mispronouncing this. It's, you know what? I'm not even going to try it. I'm not even going to try it. Look it up. Nigeria, subtitle, Modern Economic Imperialism, 1980 to present.
So the image that I have in my mind is of like the colonizers versus the country that has been colonized. Like it's like two siblings, and it's like the older brother just like holding the younger brother's head far away so like he can't get hit by the younger brother. He's just like, what? I'm just gonna fucking keep eating your yogurt. I don't give a shit how hard you try to hit me. Like, I don't give two shits.
Yeah, and then he yanks his arm away while the younger brother's struggling and slams into the wall.
Yeah,
yeah, pretty much. And you know what? They tried really hard, but when they started to try and figure it out for themselves, a renewed effort comes in to make sure that they're friendly. The Nigerian economy is friendly to U.S. interests. In fact, this
I hate that.
This guy that took power in the coup in 1985 is single-handedly, I'm sure I already said this, single-handedly the reason how the African Monetary Fund was set up. They hosted the treaty which resulted in the African Union being established in Nigeria. He hosted it. He was the main reason why Nigeria cultivated a better relationship with the United States and Europe.
All right.
After having liberated themselves from the British. He's the reason why there's no more free college. He's the reason why you can't fly out of the country for cheap. He's the reason why there's no compulsory education that's accessible and affordable for everyone. He's the reason.
So when did he die?
I feel, you know what? I think he's still alive.
We should kill him.
I'm not going to do that. He's 79 now.
I would never condone such a thing.
Here's the thing.
We're not a radical.
Here's because of the of the fact that Nigeria is so dedicated to the illusion of their adherence to democracy, or at least Western style democracy. They allowed this man to return to public life. The man who sold their country out.
Huh.
They allowed him to return to public life and just be a normal guy, somewhat famous guy. And
I don't think he deserves the right to be forgotten.
I don't think so either.
Call back.
Yeah. So, if you're wondering why the exchange rate of the Naira is no longer $2 to 1, and instead, 5,000 to 1, or whatever I said, 396, something like that. That's why. 361 Naira to $1 US.
Wild.
Yes, sir.
Just another story of colonialism gone awry. Or I guess gone as according to plan?
As according to plan, as designed.
Yeah. Fucking, that's a bummer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got on that.
Sorry to end the episode on such a downer. Oh, no, we shouldn't. We still have time to talk about ourselves.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So, what's been going on in your life this past week?
Well, I've been having this thing. I think my kneecap is made out of squids.
All right, so back to my life.
What the bro? Come on.
All right, what the made of squids?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just been real squishy.
Oh, okay.
It's just been real. I don't know, dude. It's been real squishy.
That's
man.
a good analogy.
It's not a metaphor. It's literal. I split, dude. It was fucked up. I literally took one of the, like a fillet knife for fish and stuff.
Yeah.
So I cut my, what do you call it?
You took a fillet knife to your tendons?
Yeah. Well, it was just the,
Just the Achilles tendon.
no, patellar tendon. Achilles tendon's in your ankle. So I fucking cut it open and it literally like just kind of splayed out like, and I was like, what the fuck? And there's a squid jumping around, and it like talked to me, and I was like, bro, like, what are you doing in there? And he was like, I don't know, man. I think I missed my exit, and I like took a wrong turn. I was like trying to go to Santa Fe, but I ended up in Albuquerque, and I was like, that ain't Albuquerque, bro. That's behind my knee. And he was like, oh, word? My bad. And I was like, it's cool, man, but it's just like throw me some cash because I really got to get this fixed. I got to get it stitched up because I just like literally cut it. And there he was like, no problem. My dad owns a dealership. And I was like, what kind of dealership? He was like,
Boats.
name it. And I was like, Audi? He was like, yup. And I was like, Range Rover? He was like, yup. And I was like, Bass Pro Shop, Bass dealership, Bass Boat dealership? He's like, yup. And I was like, word. They let y'all do that?
He owns a dealership in which he sells Bass Pro Shops. That's real neat.
Yeah.
Have
Bass Pro Shops that have bass boats specifically.
I need to find out where you buy your acid.
My what? Oh,
sorry. We're not supposed to reveal that information. You don't make your own acid. That would be illegal.
No, I get paid by the government.
Do you know how to do that, by the way?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Never done it, but yeah.
Dude.
it's real. Okay, well, it is kind of difficult, but it's
sure.
It's not any more difficult than any other extremely. Honestly, some of the most common drugs that you probably can get as like regular things that get prescribed to you and things you can get over the counter might actually be more complicated to make, synthetically speaking.
All right. Well, I had a similar ailment recently. Not at all similar, but I also had something weird going on with my body. I had a brown recluse bite, or what I'm pretty sure was a brown recluse. Yeah, right. I'm pretty sure it was that because like
And you didn't go to the hospital.
no, because so like I just had this like burning, itching sensation on my leg, and I looked at it, and it was like a very peculiar sore. And
The fuck?
I just got a wild hair up my ass because I knew that I had seen brown recluses in my bedroom before. Fucking Little Italy is in the middle of goddamn nowhere.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, well, there was one day where I woke up and like just in front of my fucking face, there was a spider on my pillow, just like chilling.
Was it Brown Recluse? Recluse?
Yeah, I didn't realize at the time, but
Michael Bluth?
I just like calmly put it into a cup and took a picture of it, then tossed it outside, and then turns out it was a brown recluse as
You
fuck.
killed it.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you not know what they look like?
Well, now I do. So
It's like when you eat a fillet of fish from McDonald's and you literally get like salmonella poisoning and you like are on the brink of death and you're like, yeah, I'll never eat that again. I don't know if that's related. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
all right. So yeah, I looked it up because there is historical precedent for there being brown recluses in my room. Turns all of the symptoms and the way the sore looks and felt, they all lined up with a brown recluse bite. So I'm pretty sure I got a goddamn brown recluse bite, and it only irritated me for like 2 days. And according to the internet, like it's not like a medical emergency for most people.
I know somebody that died from that actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Wild.
They were like an 8-year-old kid that got bit in the middle of the night and like died in their sleep. But
That's the thing. For like most, like if you're not a child or an old person and you're like basically healthy, you're probably gonna be fine if you get by brown
what if you
recluse.
have a clown fetish?
You're probably fucked because God hates you. Objectively, God hates people with
That's
clown
not what the
fetishes.
squid said.
That's not the point.
Fuck, dude.
I have a direct line, and I'm pretty sure he hates your ass. But yeah, if you get bit by a brown recluse, you basically have like 3 to 5 days
To live?
to determine whether or not it's actually an issue.
That sucks, man.
Like,
So how long ago did this happen?
like less than a week ago. Like very recently.
dude. Oh shit! You're about to die.
No, I'm fine.
Do you have your fears in order?
My affairs are in order. No, because so like
Just
they're
living life on the edge. How old are you? 57.
58
He just turned 58.
and a half.
He tells people he's 58, but he's really fucking 73.
Look, dude. All right, so yeah. In most cases, unless you're very young or very old, or like if you get bit like right on your chest, like near your heart, where the poison can fuck up your heart, like
What about on your nibs?
then it's an emergency. Also that.
What about on your asshole? Because I'm always worried about that.
Ooh, that's pretty close to a big vein.
On your the tip of your jennies, your genitals.
I've never heard.
Dude,
Jenny's.
that's literally one of my fucking biggest fears is when because this is why I don't fucking sleep naked. Okay,
You don't sleep naked.
I'm a never nude. I sleep in jean shorts. We've all seen Arrested Development. Anyway,
All of
so
us.
but the thing is that I really don't. Like I mean I do sometimes. Like if I'm sleeping with somebody and I think that the spider is gonna bite them first, and so I'll survive.
You'll just push them into the spider and run.
Well, I'll be asleep, so probably not. But if I am awake and that does happen, yes. But yeah, no. I mean, I'll fucking. I'm like I'm fine because they'll bite them first because I'm 10 feet tall, and bulletproof. As long as I'm with someone else. Anyway, so I'm like always worried like if I fucking like at the very least I'll sleep in boxers or in like really lacy peach colored panties that have like really
I want those back, by the way.
you fucking left them at my house.
All right, fine.
I haven't washed them, by the way.
Good. All right, so
Anyway.
yeah, I was fine. The symptoms only
Yeah,
persisted
dead.
for 2 days. Like
That's
it was
nice.
within the grace period of it being non-issue, so I'm fine. It's actually all cleared up now. Anyway, yeah, so that happened. I think that's all we have to talk about today, really.
No, I was gonna say something. I was gonna say.
Today's episode is brought to you by Lockheed Martin. No, sorry, go on.
Yeah. I mean, we here at this course, you know, we want to congratulate Joaquin Martin for being so diverse, because I just want to read you. I don't know if you guys follow Joaquin Martin on Twitter. It's
my favorite Twitter account.
It's one of the best ones because they literally posted today. It's fucking Pride Month, okay? And
oh my God, are they getting in on Pride Month?
yes,
Oh
of
wow,
course. And they
wow.
posted, they said not all chasers are bi, but all bi people are chasers.
Chaser's a fucking code word for one of their missiles, right?
I think it's a double entendre.
Also, what the fuck does chasers mean?
I'm not really sure what it means.
What's the first entendre?
What's the first entendre? Well, I'm pretty sure that was the Garden of Eden.
Okay. No, but what the fuck does chasers mean?
You know, I'm blanking right now. I don't know. No, I know. It's when you like to dress up like a dog and you have a tail and then you chase it because you're like weirdly, it's like a weird furry thing. I think what it is that you really like trans people in like a weird way.
It's when one person dresses up like a dog and another person dresses up like a car, and the dog just chases the car around the bedroom until.
I think. See, now I said double entendre. I think we've come up with like
5.
So it's a quintuple.
That's hot.
Quintuplets. What is this? A fucking early 2001 beer commercial on fucking fen on fucking
What?
phentermine fen.
Wildly specific reference, but okay.
Phenylamphetamine.
Fentanyl?
No. Why does everybody say? Oh, here's my thing. What the fuck? Why does everybody say fentanyl? It's not an all. It's an
Fentanyl.
ill.
Fentanyl.
Fentanyl. You know what I just found out today? I found out today. I did one of the. I don't know. Don't ask me why I did this. I know I'm looking at your face. You're fixing to fix your mouth to ask me what the fuck I was fixing to do. But I was literally looking at like soil data for this like plot of land that I own, and I was like,
why?
What like grows here the best? And apparently, grapes.
Huh.
There's no vineyards anywhere in that area, but
Well,
apparently they
yet.
are. It has a long ass growing season there, according to the soil data.
Cool.
And I was like, what the fuck?
You gonna start a vineyard?
Yeah, if I can just buy up all the other tracks that all these fucking weird speed freaks and fucking country bumpkins and cattle ranchers fucking own. But yeah, I mean, it would be cool. And I don't know. So yeah, I was just looking at, I was also just nerding out on like all the different types of like, there's like something called the GEP system. There's like all these like different soil types, and like it's like very shardy soil loam.
Much like my underwear.
Silky loam. It's
my underwear
not
is also
actually
very shardy.
It's churdy, which I don't know if that's better, but anyway, I'm pretty much done talking about soil.
That's good, because I think we're done anyway.
That's what's up.
This has been This Course. Thank you for listening and or watching. If this is a future episode that has retroactive video, you're welcome. I don't know what the future may hold.
Retroactive video?
Look, man.
What do you think this is, fucking Blockbuster?
Well, 3248 could be amazing for all we know. Anyway.
What the fuck? I don't know what this man's talking about.
Thank you for listening to our cooking and relationship podcast.
Yeah, make sure you cook for your enemies and then kill them.
And if you have any questions, concerns, you want to call us out, you want to tell us we're stupid.
discoursepodcast@gmail.com.
That's going to be our new jingle. Bye, everybody.